Welcome back to the Villain Report, where kneecaps get bitten, narratives get shredded, and Detroit 313 sports get the spotlight that they deserve. I'm your host, Russell Wayne, the voice of vengeance, the mouth of the Motor City Madness, and the UDFA of sports podcasting, the Tom Kennedy of sports podcasting, if you will. Today's not just another Thursday. We pause and we remember 9/11, a day that shook this nation to its core. We honor the heroes. We remember the lives lost. We respect the first responders who ran towards danger when the world stood still. We don't forget, ever. And now we carry that spirit forward, that grit, that unity, that refuse to quit mindset. That's exactly what this Detroit Lions team needs to do. That's exactly what this Detroit Lions team needs to do, because football ain't life or death. But it's the way that we fight, the way that we respond, that tells you everything. So in this episode, we're going to talk Know Thy Enemy. We're going to break down the Chicago Bears' strengths, weaknesses, schemes, and how the Lions can exploit them. The keys for the Lions to win. Matchups to exploit Detroit's keys. This ain't just football. This is Detroit football. So let's honor the day with passion, pride, and purpose. Welcome to the Villain Report. Let's work. Detroit Villain Squad is 78,000 strong on Facebook and climbing fast. Help us. Help us to storm 100,000 over here. And on YouTube, we're chasing the first 1,000 subs. Hit that subscribe button. I just threw the link in there. At 313 Villain Squad. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube, X, TikTok. Wherever you scroll, the villain rolls. Connect with me on all the platforms and be part of the be part of the takeover, because it's faith, family, and then football in that order. And we use football to spend time with our family. We use football to create those memories. We don't let football use us. We don't turn into a different person after a loss. And the Villain Squad is taking over the sports world, one fan at a time. This episode is brought to you by Fanatics.com. If you're rocking with the 313, if you bleed Honolulu blue, then you need to gear up like the real one over at Fanatics, our official merch partner. I'm talking official Lions jerseys, blackout hoodies, throwback Tigers gear, WWE gear, Red Wings drip so icy it should come with a Zamboni. So here's what you do. You take this link that I just threw into the comments. Save up to 25% off of your order. Every link supports the channel, the page, and lets the world know that Detroit fans do it bigger and better. Villain Squad don't do knockoffs. We do official. We do Fanatics. Get yours. It's Know Thy Enemy Thursday right here on the Villain Report. Welcome one, welcome all. Thank you. Getting into the crowd right here. Let's get back into the crowd. Let's
say hello to my little friend.
That's right. Rick is in the house. What's up, buddy? Becca is in the house. What up, girl? Davey's in the house.
You like that?
Mark Orlando's in the house.
You like that?
Davey's in the house.
You like that?
Adam's in the house.
You like that?
Good morning. Good morning. It's 9/11. It's September 11th. It's like, it gives me, I mean, it does something. Definitely does something for me. Freedom of speech. We live in a great country that, allows free airwaves. And I know that it's just football talk. But the thing is like, not everybody has the freedom to just be able to speak over the waves, whatever they want to say. And that's why it's like, it's important, because we get to do this. We get to come on here and just freely talking to the airways, bitching about the Lions, whatever we want to do. We're allowed to do that because of the freedoms, because of the country that we live in. And, for those of you that think I shouldn't say anything about that, whatever. I'm not going to subscribe to that. I think that I'm going to appreciate where I come from. And, God bless America. And God bless anybody that's listening, because it's faith, family, then football on here. I love talking football. I do. But it's not the most important thing in the world. Good morning, Charles.
You like that?
Muskegon's in the house. I love it. I love it. Every time I see your name on here, it just reminds me of a certain time of my life that was a very fun time of my life. And I'm not saying that now isn't fun. It's just a different kind of fun now. We're older now. I may not look it, but I'm 50 years old. And I don't think I look 50 years old because I love what I do. I try to be happy. I try to look for the good things, the good in people. Steve is real.
You like that?
Steve's in the house. He's in the house.
Say hello to my little friend.
That's right. So today in the Know Thy Enemy, I got to get my drop back. But I want to talk a little bit about what the Bears are doing right here. We got a brand new Bears team, Ben Johnson led, right? Our former offensive coordinator, Ben Johnson's now calling the shots in Chicago, which means that he knows our scheme. But we know his DNA too. So I don't know how much of that really is an advantage for either side. But he's bringing tempo, speed, formations, creativity to that offense. You can see it. You could see it in week 1. But you can also see that there's definitely some growing pains that come with that offense as well. And I think it's a different kind of growing pains than what we had. I think that we had a couple young players that got overwhelmed against a really, really good Packers team. And I think they can get right. Dennis Allen, definitely a notable name. But, you're talking a former head coach who's now calling the Bears defense. So this is not, to me, is the same old Bears. But it's the least exciting of the matchups in between the two teams, because the Lions are also going through some growing pains as it comes to the interior of the offensive line. So I like that we're doing, we got a big matchup here, going into week 2, but neither one of the teams are going to be the team that they are. I'm looking forward way more to the second matchup between Dan Campbell and Ben Johnson, because I do believe that, I don't know how long it's going to take to, hit that stride. Last year it was a couple games. And it's like I do this to myself every year. I think that we're going to hit the ground running, and we start out slow. And I don't even know if that has anything to do with them not playing in preseason, but I'm starting to get to a point where I might entertain that argument a little bit a little bit more. You know, I used to just dismiss that argument. Yeah, joint practices. But I'm not. I'm opening up the door a little bit for that. Hey, let's get a couple series in preseason so these guys aren't going out there right off the bat, because they had a slow start last year to the offense too. And, you know, you got to get these guys some live reps, in my opinion. But the thing is here we are. We're in the season. How long is it going to take for that offensive line to gel? That's the thing. That's the key. Same thing with Ben Johnson. He's trying to install his offense in there. And if I know anything about Ben Johnson, it's a complicated offense. So they're going through some growing pains as well. And I'm thinking that the Lions defense is going to be able to take advantage of that, because I don't think that the Lions defense is going through growing pains. Because when you look at that game that they just played, it got blown way out of proportion on how bad it was on defense. I expect Detroit to be stout against the run all year, because that was one thing that was fundamentally there. They got to work on some things getting to the passer, but I think this could be a get-right game there. That defense has got to step up. They got all the veterans. You know, that defense has got to carry you through the first 6 weeks of the season. And I believe that they'll do it. I'm not freaking out yet. Like I said, I'm about a 3 out of 11 on my freak out. Now, if you lose to the Bears, we're going to have a different conversation on Monday. But the Lions are a better team. They should win. And because they just lost in the way that they usually respond to games, I think that Chicago is going to get a pretty good shot against the Lions. They're going to get a pissed-off Lion, a pissed-off Penei Sewell. They don't like losing. None of those guys like losing. And it's kind of funny in the interviews, the Lions players, it's almost just kind of like they're surprised that everybody's kind of turned their back on them. And I know not all of us have. You haven't turned your back on the Lions. I know that there's some people that are freaking. I don't think that my small audience with Rick and Mark, I don't think that you guys are turning your back, Charles. But there's a lot of the Lion fan base that's already kind of given up on, you know, after 1 week. And it's just crazy to me. You know, you got all your reasons, right? You should have got a pass rusher. You know, you let your laundry list. Brad Holmes should have listened to you. Whole bunch of these type of guys. Oh my God, I'm not negative. I'm realistic. They should have listened to me, and they should have got other the guys that I wanted them to get. I can't believe that you would believe in those guys that you had now. I told you so. And those guys are sitting out there, you know, they're waving their ding-dings in our face. You know, I still believe in the team. I'm not freaking out. I think that the players are there. And I think it's going to lock into place just like it did. Like, it's almost like a switch went off in the middle of that Arizona game in Game 3 last year. Or like the offense is like, oh yeah, we can be unstoppable. So I think that there's going to have that moment's going to happen because we have all the players. You got all the playmakers. Goff completed 31 passes. And I know you want to call him a slot merchant and you just dismiss it like it's nothing. You got players that can break tackles. Right? At some point, those 31 passes, Gibbs caught a whole bunch of passes. You got to break a tackle. Some of those go for 15 yards. They're chain movers. So the Chicago Bears, you should be able to exploit the defense. It's their defense is front loaded. Montez Sweat brings heat. Grady Jarrett's good. Billings, they're solid inside. They got Shamar Stewart. It's a rookie defensive tackle. He's showing some flash. They're not there yet. They got injuries in their secondary. And even if they do play, it's like something, we have really, really good wide receivers. They should be able to feast there. The Lions should be able to feast. You got to take advantage of that. You have to take advantage where you have advantages. The Bears offense, stacked. Is it stacked or is it smoke? Caleb Williams, he was a rookie phenom, right? Mobile, flashy. But definitely shaky on his reads. Has accuracy problems in Minnesota last week. Sailing balls. DJ Moore, he's still that dude. I don't mind DJ Moore. He's a good player. You definitely got to look out for DJ Moore. But there's a game within a game, sometimes I think that outside media can influence the way that you're really looking at a game. And you look at that Lions defense last week and you freak out. But you look at the game within the game, and it's that third down defense. Your best players need to do better. And it might be more on Marcus Davenport than it is on Aiden Hutchinson. But the Lions defense on the first two downs is really, really good. I don't expect DeAndre Swift to be able to run the football at all. I don't expect any running game there. Could break a run, but for the most part, it looks like the Lions are going to be really stout against the run, even with Talik Williams. So they need to get better on third down. They got when it's 3rd and 7, when it's 3rd and 9, you got to get home. You got to get off the field. That's the type of situation that you want your defense to put the offense in. Jordan Love was really good at getting out of 3rd and long. He was making plays. That's a fundamental thing that the Lions can work on all week. You can't let them sit back in that pocket. And it's your best players, man. I believe in Aiden Hutchinson to make that correction and be better in week 2. I'm not talking about some, defensive backs or linebackers all running in the wrong spot and it looks like this scheme is all crappy. And I'm not worried about any of that. The couple of little tweaks. We're really good on 1st and 2nd down. You know, the defense hits that stride, they could be really, really good all season long. I believe in that defense. So how do we break the Bears? How do you go in there? I mean, and we only have a game to go off of here. But obviously you need to get pressure on Caleb Williams. You got to confuse him, you got to contain him, and don't give him escape lanes. And I don't know if you do that by blitzing or if you just decide that Aiden Hutchinson's going to be strictly a pass rusher and you don't drop him back into coverage and you just keep sending him. I hope that they deploy the defense differently this week. They didn't do much of the like Aiden Hutchinson said, they didn't do any of the dropping back into coverage in the second half. So maybe they learned their lesson on that. But I think that they got to use their strengths as strengths. You know, they should be designing that defensive line to give Aiden Hutchinson one-on-ones. You know, try to dictate it. You know, line him up in different spots. I think they should be lining Aiden Hutchinson up like a weapon, all over the line. He's proven he can stand up. He can rush through the middle gaps. So, control the trenches, part 2. No more week 1 misfires. Rick's talking about it right here. It's the O-line, man. So part 2 to beat the Bears is you got to get through all of these mishaps. And credit Green Bay, Lambeau Field, credit them. They were so loud they confused the young players. They had 2 guys thinking it was one play blocking one way and the other 3 guys were thinking the other way. The communication was off. And credit to the loud crowd. But I do believe, Rick, that's going to be together because it isn't going to be loud for them. You know, our crowd's going to let them make their calls. So, Steve says some Lion fan said that Ratledge should be center and Glass. That's ridiculous. That's dumb. That's dumb. Glasgow. They had miscommunications in there. I want to see a game with this crew. They're not going to have the miscommunications this week. You know, those are the type of things that when you look at the tape, you go to hyper correct that. You know. So I want to see what the physical ability of this line is when those guys are getting more on the same page. Actually expect a pretty simple game plan this week. I'd like to see a lot of power stuff this week. Mark says bring physicality and energy the Lions are known for, cut back on the penalties, and execute the fundamentals. Most of all, communicate. Yeah. I mean, you can say that penalties cost us the game. I mean, no bigger than that penalty on Rock Ya-Sin. And the one that was on Aiden Hutchinson was bunk. But even if they didn't call the hold penalty, running the ball all the way back right there would have been a game-changing play, and you can't hold on that. I refuse to say that it isn't a hold because he held. What are you going to say? What are you going to do? You can't blame the referees. But you can be better in that spot because you don't want to wipe out game-changing plays. So what else? Exploit the defensive back matchups. That's part 3. The Bears got a banged up secondary, even with the guys that might even be in there. And when you got $50 million a year going out on your wideouts, you got to exploit that. If you can't exploit banged up secondary, then what are we doing here? Right? And I think that they will. None of those cornerbacks are going to be able to run with J-Mo. I mean, you have that attitude of just getting your ass kicked by the Green Bay Packers. And the Lions have responded well, very well, in all of those games. I have no doubt they're going to respond well this time. It's the makeup of the crew. Everybody shoulders a little bit of that responsibility, but they got to take advantage of that defensive back. Show no mercy. They got to burn them up. Whoever's limping, crossovers, double moves, screens, J-Mo, Amon-Ra, St. Brown, they should eat. They should eat in this matchup. Part 4, how to break the Bears. Part 4, win the fourth quarter. The Bears gave up a huge lead last week. They had a chance, and you got to step on their throat late. You can't let the guys get back into the game if you get out ahead. If we stay focused, this game doesn't need to be close. If we let them hang around and you give rookie hope, hope leads to heartbreak. And let's bring them the heartbreak. It's nice to see Broski come out of witness protection. After his team did what his team does. And now here we go. The villain score prediction. Ford Field stays undefeated. Goff gets clean. Alex Anzalone spies Caleb. Kirby snags one. Detroit rises. Chicago crumbles. You don't come into the Lions' den and expect mercy. You get hit. You get humbled. You get hunted. I didn't notice. I didn't notice you in here yesterday, broski. I heard somebody say that you were here. So what do you think about the matchup this week? Is this going to be a get-right game for the Lions? Is the villain going to have to come out here on Monday again with a down look? Or are the Lions going to get right? Let me know in the comments. Let me know about the discussion. Let me see what else we got in here. No, you guys got no stuff for me in here? So let's talk about the weaknesses and the risk right here. Caleb Williams' accuracy in the intermediate. He flashed early, but the accuracy's been inconsistent, especially on the deeper routes. So I think that the Bears defense is front loaded. Like, I mean, I think that they got a good frontline defense. You know, you got some good defensive tackles. Billings is good, but they are older players, and they kind of let you down late in that game. The Vikings were able to control the line of scrimmage in that second half, where I think that the Lions had a hard time with their line too, but they were still able to go into the red zone 4 times. I mean, you can't turn the ball over. Even though they weren't taking anything sexy, they were still able to move the ball. And you got to score. You got to score when you get into the red zone. You had a turnover, a couple field goals, and then a 4th down stop. Given Green Bay short fields, you can't do that. You can't do that. And you can't have the miscommunications on the offensive line. All the way around. But when I'm looking at that Chicago game, that looked like a heart thing. You know, they were in that game, they were winning that game, and it just looked like Minnesota had more heart. They just willed their way back into the game. Got a couple stops. J.J. McCarthy turned into Superman for a minute. And that's what it was. So, what do you think the story is going to be? Know thy enemy. It's like, what do we know about the Chicago Bears? The Bears' defensive line is vulnerable to some of the matchups. I don't think that the Bears have as good of a defensive line that the Packers do. The Lions got to establish the run. I mean, that's the bread and butter of what they do. Their offense is not going to work unless they run. And they're able to run. And on those short passes, your playmakers have to make plays. Because last year, when Montgomery or Gibbs would get the football and they would catch the ball on those short checkdowns, they could make something happen. That's what made Ben Johnson's offense so dynamic. You have to earn the rights to throw the ball downfield. I made a video that was based off of that. You can't just start chucking the ball downfield. You have to earn those rights. And the Lions never earned that right against the Green Bay Packers. The Green Bay Packers play cover 2 defense, meaning that you keep 2 safeties all the way back, and you try not to let anybody get behind you. which is the advantage where you can hit that defense is the checkdowns. It leaves the underneath stuff open. And him taking checkdowns is more taking what the defense gives you. And when you have no running game, when you're not running the football at all, and all you have are those checkdowns, if the other team is tackling well, which Green Bay was tackling well, you know, you're obviously getting, you know, into third and long situations. So I expect my running backs to be better, you know, when they take those. But Chicago plays a different style of defense than Green Bay. They attack differently. But when you want to beat the Green Bay, you got to be able to get them to force them to bring one of those safeties up into the box and not have two safeties back. When those checkdowns are working, and those checkdowns aren't 1 yard gains and they're 7, 8, 11-yard games, chain movers, well, then you force the defense to try to stop that. Well, we got to get some guys up there. We got to make sure that we get this guy tackled. And then when they do that, that's when you earn the right to throw the ball downfield. So that's going to be part of it. They're going to have to be able to establish the run. But if they can get those chunks and it's 2nd and 3, and Goff can get that play action going, and they have to sneak that safety up to try to stop that run, well, then you can throw the ball downfield. And I think that the Lions have a distinct advantage between cornerbacks and our wide receivers. Now, don't get me wrong. This isn't like simple. I feel you, Mark. Thank you for acknowledging that I nailed it. But the thing is that's easier said than done, right? That's easy to say, but hard to do. Because last week, the Lions had an advantage with our wide receivers in the secondary. But they never earned the right to throw the ball downfield because they couldn't run the football. And mainly because of clerical errors between offensive line communication. Which, that's our fault. That's our fault. They got to communicate that better. They got to know that they're going to have to go in there without being able to hear and be able to change the play at the line of scrimmage and make sure that everybody can get the change. That part of it is that's our fault. That's our fault. But you also have to fault Green Bay Packers crowd. You have to give them credit for being that loud in order to make it so the rookie and the second-year player in Mahogany had a hard time hearing the calls. TA wasn't that bad. I think it's really funny. I think it's very funny because this whole game, I just see it differently than you, Steve. It doesn't take away from the fact that we got our ass kicked. I am not trying to minimize the fact that the Green Bay Packers put a whooping on us. But after looking at that, it's not as much on the defense. It was the offense that was putting the defense in awful positions. The defense actually stopped you guys a bunch of times and gave the offense multiple opportunities to get back into that game. TA wasn't that bad. I mean, you had 188 yards in passing, dude. $188 yards in passing. You won the game. I'm not like I said, I'm not taking anything away from the butt whooping. Now, did TA get beat on 2 passes? Yeah. Got to work on that third down defense. But honestly, when you look at those 2 plays, you have to get to the quarterback. You have to be able to get to the quarterback. Our best players have to get to the quarterback. And they didn't. They gave Jordan Love time to throw on third down. Now, can Chicago do the same thing? I mean, well, I don't know. Because when I look at what's got to improve on the defense, yeah, you got to be stickier in coverage, man. I mean, I think everybody got the memo. But most importantly, your best players need to be your best players. You know, I haven't given up on the defense. But if I'm going to sit up here and I'm going to tell you that we're fine at pass rusher because we have Aiden Hutchinson and I believe Davenport will be healthy, then you're relying on those guys. Those guys need to be better. Davenport and Hutchinson need to get after the quarterback. You need to prove that you can be a dominant force in there. And if Davenport, you ain't the dominant force, then you need to help Hutchinson be the dominant force. I mean, to me, it's the same story. It's going to be the same story every week. It's the trenches. It's the battle of the trenches. The Lions have the best skill position players in the National Football League. Really, on both sides of the ball. But it's those trenches, guys. You want to protect your secondary? Make the quarterback uncomfortable. Cover the underneath stuff. Are we trying to say that Goff is turnover prone now? Goff threw 1 interception in the last game. He also threw a touchdown pass. Goff completed 31 passes. And 31 passes to playmakers. Miss me with check down Merchant. When you check the ball down, you need your guys to break tackles. You need your guys to break tackles, and that 2-yard needs to be a 7-yard gain. That has to happen on some of that 31 passes. It isn't all on a Goff. You got to give Green Bay credit. You got to give Green Bay credit for that. They dictated the way that you have to force Green Bay not to play the defense that they're playing. They keep those 2 safeties back, so that eliminates your deep shots to Jameson Williams and Tesla. That's why they keep those safeties back. You have to force them to do that. Yep. A-Dub, that's it right there. The Lions need more development on the interior of the O-line. When they talked to Taylor Decker, they said that there were times that Green Bay was so loud, that Lambeau Field was so loud, that when they would give the communications to change the play, when they're trying to change the play, that it was so loud that sometimes half of the offensive line were blocking 2 different plays. So miscommunications to me is better than being physically mauled. Because I don't think that there was a lot of physically mauling going. Well, I think that Green Bay took advantage and did physically mauling, but when you're not at the right place, I mean, your leverage is way off. So fixing this, to me, is easier than fixing not being strong enough or, you know, technique being off. Yeah, I didn't get that either. I'm watching, and just so you know, Steve, that didn't happen in the second half, and I hope that it never happens again. But Hutchinson in pass coverage, it's like, man, you need to weaponize your weapons. Calvin Shepard, if you're listening, weaponize your weapons. Don't overthink this, bro. Don't overthink it. You got a weapon. You got a weapon. Yeah, I mean, your team was good on first and second down, Kelvin. You're doing a good job. You're doing a good job. You got to shore up that third down defense. And your best players need to be your best players. Don't drop Hutchinson back into pass coverage anymore. Let him rush the passer and wreck the quarterback on third down. Every opportunity that you have to get Aiden Hutchinson running after the quarterback, you need to seize the moment. He needs sacks more than he needs interceptions. I know you were trying to be slickery dickory doo-dah with that. You wanted to fool him. But Jordan Love ain't no dummy. Oh, Aiden Hutchinson's throwing back in the coverage. Well, I'll just dump it over his head. He can't cover anybody. I mean, maybe out in the flats, you send him out there. But the thing is, it's like, why wouldn't you just be moving Aiden Hutchinson all over that line? Finding different holes to go in. I mean, take a page out of Green Bay's book with Parsons. Use Hutchinson like they're using Parsons. Just have him move around. My God, Broski loves to cherry pick right here. I love this. He had one game last year where he had 5 interceptions. And then he had the playoff game where he had some interceptions. Everything else, it's like he had 2 bad games, but what you want to do is you want to isolate that 5 interception game and say, this is what Goff is. Nobody's saying that he didn't have a 5 interception game, dude. What they're saying is he's not a bad quarterback. Everybody wants to go blame Jared Goff. He completes 31 passes against Green Bay. He averaged 5 yards a pass or whatever. Whose fault is that? Whose fault is that? You go into the draft, you draft Jahmyr Gibbs, you draft Sam Laporta. Why? Because they can break tackles. You want guys that can do stuff with the ball once they get into their hand. Amon-Ra St. Brown, he can break tackles. So Goff as a quarterback, his job is to distribute the football. Get it into the hands of playmakers. Goff in the last game did that 31 times. So, like Becca says right here, dog and Goff, that's old. It's okay. It's okay. Trolls will be trolls. Trolls be trolling. Trolls be trolling. I know how many. I don't need to discuss Goff's interceptions. I know what Goff did last year. I know which games he played bad in. He didn't play very good in the Tampa Bay game. He didn't play very good in that Houston game. Goff is a good quarterback. Goff did his job against Green Bay this week. I mean, even the interception. Like, how many times do you see Amon-Ra St. Brown, do the little button hook and run back towards the ball? How often does he get undercut? How often does Amon-Ra St. Brown get undercut on a route? It doesn't happen very often, and I don't know if that's all on Goff. It seemed like the whole team, was like a half a step off or something. Like, it's like I feel like they should send him into the Rocky III training segment and, like, refocus that. They need that eye of the tiger, the eye of the lion. Yeah, get in there with the jump ropes. Let Apollo Creed train you. Get that eye of the tiger back. Because even on the interception that Goff threw, I feel like that's something that usually Amon-Ra St. Brown comes back to and makes that catch. You feeling me on that? But you know what? If the Lions aren't able to beat the Bears, I'll give this to you, broski. I'm going to give this to you right here because you deserve this. Sometimes broski comes in here and all he does is troll us, and that's kind of what he's doing right here. He's going after Rick. He's going after Becca. And then he's going to say, "No, I'm not. I'm just speaking facts." So blah, 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 blah. But if the Lions don't win on Sunday, no one will have earned coming on here and talking his trash. And as a matter of fact, I may even do that. Because I used to let all kinds of people come on to this show. But then that turns into a zoo and nobody wanted to watch that with everybody on, because not everybody's good when they come on here. But we're going to have Broski come on here. But I don't know if Broski is willing to come on, win or lose. But my only caveat to that is if you do come on, you got to remove that stupid picture right there, and you actually got to show people your face. I don't care if you got snaggletooth. But we talk a lot of trash. We talk a lot of trash with each other. And Broski's trash talk this week is so relevant. Like, I actually don't mind that I got a lot of Packer fans in here and a lot of Bear fans in here talking their trash, getting it ready. That's what it's all about, right? Ben Johnson versus Dan Campbell.
We're going to bite a kneecap off.
It's the showdown. Mr. Miyagi versus Danielson. But I got you, man. Everybody to each their own. I mean, that's your decision. My decision is to make sure that everybody's seen on the show. That's okay. And everything else would be up to you at that point. But to me, as a producer of a show, just having a picture up there, it looks lame. I don't want that on here. I want to have high quality, broski. I want to know who I'm talking to. And maybe the Bears can earn you a right to get on the world famous, not so famous, the tens and tens of views that I get. One of the most illustrious shows in all of the internet, The Villain Report. And that's what you've been watching. This is The Villain Report. And my name is Russell Wayne. I am your host. I am the 313 Villain. You can find me on X. Connect with me. You can connect with me on my YouTube page. Help me out here. I need some help with the YouTube. We're so close. We're getting there. We need like 20 people, and then I'm going to cross that 1,000 mark threshold. We're approaching 80,000 on Facebook. I appreciate everybody that supports on there. Liking, commenting, sharing. And the best thing that I like is asking questions. Like if you have any questions, we can talk about it. Got a big game tonight. The Green Bay Packers against the Commanders. Can the Commanders keep it going? That's the big question. Thank you, everybody, for jumping on to the show today with me. 9/11. We remember. God bless you on 9/11. Don't take your freedoms for granted. The Villain Report. You can join the Villain Monday through Saturday at 10 a.m. Talking football, talking trash, doing what we can do. It's faith, family, and then football in that order. That's why I can get guys in here like Broski and Steve. Because I can love you as a person and hate your football team. We use football to create quality memories. We don't let football use us. Episode brought to you by Fanatics. Fanatics.com. That's right. If you're rocking with the 313 and you bleed Honolulu blue, then you need to gear up like the real one over at Fanatics, our official merch partner. I'm talking official Lions jerseys, blackout hoodies, throwback Tigers gear, WWE gear, and Red Wings drip so icy it should come with a Zamboni. So here's what you do. You click that link in the description. You can save up to 25% off of your order. Every click supports the channel and lets the world know that Detroit fans do it bigger. They do it better. Villain Squad don't do knockoffs. We do official. We do Fanatics. Get yours.
You've had enough of that shit.
Thank you so much for being part of the show today. God bless you guys. May the Lord bless you. May the Lord keep you. May the Lord shine his face upon you until we meet again in Jesus' name. Amen. 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 Enjoy the rest of your day. Amen. We'll see you on tomorrow's show, 10 a.m. Peace out.